welcome back to NPC, Next Portable Console, a show about the games that we take with us. My name is Federico, and I'm joined, just like every other week, by Mr. Brandon Bigley. Hello, Brandon.
Hello. So happy to be here once again.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Bi-weekly.
We're doing a show again. Bi-weekly.
Yes.
We're doing it bi-weekly. Fortnightly, even? I don't know what it means. I don't know. Is that a word?
I'm going with bi-weekly because I know that's ambiguous,
Well,
but still, I think it works.
As you can tell from the voice, we're also joined by John Voorhees. Hello, John.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, John.
You just jumped in,
I did. I'm sorry. I'm on a lot of caffeine this morning. I'm really ready to go.
Interesting.
I'm really, really ready.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My coffee machine broke a few days ago, and I was
Really?
very concerned. Turns out,
No
when you
portable
have-
coffee for Federico.
all of the many variations of NPC. Turns out, when you have a coffee machine with a grinder, every so often you're supposed
You have to clean the grinder.
You gotta clean it. Turns out, and
This seems like a theme with you
and
from other
even-
things I've heard in your life.
and even better, turns out they give you in the box. They give you a little brush that's supposed to go into a hole that cleans the. Yeah, the more you know.
You
right?
thought that was for brushing your teeth.
No, I thought like, oh, this is like a nice thing to have when you want to be fancy. You're brushing, the machine.
Yeah.
When you want to be an intellectual. No, turns out every so often you gotta clean it because
You gotta
there's
clean that.
Good
thing, man.
idea.
Do you have that
Anyway.
like really good Barazza one?
No, it's a DeLonghi. We're gonna put a link in the show notes because I know that people are gonna ask me. We got it for like 50% off for Black
Ooh.
Friday. It was like a cumulative discount. It was like Black Friday discount plus. You know these websites when you sign up for their newsletters, they give you like 15% off or something. Like just
Yeah.
as long as you provide your email address, and,
Yeah.
Right.
give up your privacy forever. But they give you like a pretty good discount. And so we combined the two discount codes and we got like 50% off. Anyway, this is not a coffee podcast, nor is it.
It's not a coupon podcast
It's not a coupon
either.
podcast. We're here to talk about games and we have plenty of news. Brandon, what is happening with the Switch 2? Is it called the
Yes.
Switch 2?
Unclear. Signs are pointing to yes, though. It seems
Mm.
like actually. So there have been a lot of rumors over the past couple of weeks. I think the most interesting one was a leak, quote unquote. Somebody had taken some photos of a pretty early PCB build of the Switch 2, alongside maybe what the new Joycons look like with the rumored magnetic attachments instead of sliding in on a rail system the way the current Switch does. It'll be magnetized, which is very interesting. And then based on those leaks, somebody went ahead, I think it was Tom Warren at The Verge who referred to this person as a render enthusiast, if I'm not mistaken. But
I
somebody,
think so, yeah.
How can you be a render enthusiast?
I've never heard of such a person.
somebody went,
Okay.
a render enthusiast went and built out a full 3D render of what this thing should look like based on those photos and based on the rumored specs, and I would imagine based on the Bloomberg reporting from a couple of years ago. But there's a bunch of interesting stuff in here. I think like the renders probably won't look as true to life as what we'll get. I think I made a wavelengths video about this, but if those of you who have been very online since before the first Switch came out, at least, you might remember the like weird oval Switch that leaked.
Oh man, do I
Yes.
remember that?
I totally
It's
forgot
incredible.
about that.
People were, I remember at the time, people were looking at that leaked photo. Were looking at
Yeah.
the screen, the reflection of some trees in the display, and saying,
Yeah.
"No, this is legit because these are the same trees that you can
Right.
find outside of Nintendo's offices in Seattle." I was like,
Right.
"Come on."
I would bet
Wow.
anything that was like a remote for their like Zoom system in a conference room or something. Like I would bet anything.
Probably.
It might have.
yeah.
It might be a
And-
physical object, but it might be like purpose built for conference calls. Anyway, so
And then I was going to say
Yeah.
that was followed by Creepy Mario, right?
Yes.
Creepy Mario peeking behind the
Yes,
curtain.
yes.
That's when we actually got the.
that's when we got
peak,
the
I
reveal.
guess.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after that, and I feel like
Right.
we're maybe frighteningly close for this being a fortnightly podcast to getting a Switch reveal, I would guess. But based on at least a lot of the speculation, a lot of the conversation around those leaks, it seems like the renders probably aren't very accurate, but that PCB might be accurate. Like that might actually, it's a much harder thing to fake. And it seems like it was dated 2023, so it might be an early version, but all things considered, that leak of those photos also came with specs, which I think is very interesting. The one that I am fixated on, because I think it's the most interesting, is that there's a USB port on the top and the bottom of the device. USB-C on both sides, which my thought, I've seen some people say that that might just be for like the test units, which is a possibility, I guess. But my feeling about it is that this is what's going to enable whatever the Switch 2's gimmick is.
Yes.
Like, what is the thing that
so
sets
too.
the Switch 2 apart from the Switch 1? Nintendo cannot, I don't think they're capable of releasing a second version of the Switch that doesn't have something new and weird about it. The same way the Wii U was a weirder version of the Wii, and the Wii was obviously a big thing, and the 3DS had a 3D screen. Like, the Switch 2 is going to have something going on. And the best guess I have seen, and I'm obsessed with this one. I'll give a shout out to AJ, who edits Into the Aether, who turned me onto this one. Their guess was that the Switch 2 can switch 2 ways, which I love.
What?
So not only
interesting.
can you plug it into a dock so it can switch between portable and handheld, but you can attach the Joy-Cons magnetically to the sides or the other sides via the USB ports.
God.
And then you have a vertical handheld that you can use to play 3DS or DS games as well. So they can start to put those on
that
Nintendo
would be
Online.
Cool.
Switch 2 ways.
I love that idea.
Love that.
I love
guess.
that idea.
It's so good. But
Of all guesses,
I think regardless, just having a second USB port on the top, if they allow us to charge that way, I'm going to be very happy. I would love to charge through the top or the bottom. Some other specs that I think are worth running down real quick. It has 12 gigabytes of RAM, if this leak is to be believed, which is that's pretty sizable. I was just like looking up comparisons between the PS4 and the PS4 Pro. PS4 had 6 gigs of RAM. PS4 Pro had 8 gigs of RAM. And I think with a lot of the Bloomberg reporting from a couple of years ago pointing to this being about as powerful as the PS4, I that's looking increasingly likely to me. It also has 256 gigs of internal storage, which to me speaks to there are going to be bigger games on this thing.
Bigger games, yeah.
More
definitely.
textures. We need more storage in there. And then the last two things, I'll fly through this first one so we can talk about the second one because I know you're excited about it, Federico. But it's got a microphone. I think that's very smart, especially if we're talking like PS4 kind of level graphics or maybe even PS4 Pro level graphics.
And maybe emulating some of those DS and 3DS games, right?
Yes, you'll need a microphone. You'll need a microphone for that stuff, and you'll need a microphone for voice chat if they're going to start to take multiplayer more seriously. I talked about this in the video, but like Microsoft has already gone on record in a courtroom saying that they're going to put the next Call of Duty on the next Switch. You probably need voice chat for that in some way, shape, or form. It'd be nice to have it built into the device. And the last thing that I thought was interesting from this leak, there's a bunch of other stuff. We could put a link in the show notes that'll have more of the specs. But the last thing that I wrote down, literally just for Federico, is HDMI 2.1.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Well, I mean, that is the surprise. Alongside 2 USB-C ports, that is the surprise for me, having HDMI 2.1. I mean, great. It means for true 4K gaming. Now, I would be, obviously, for HDMI 2.1, like you can do 8K at 60, you can do 4K at 120. I really doubt that Nintendo's going to do the new Zelda at 4K 120.
No.
Because it's going to be 8K. You're right. Yeah.
You know, but hey, better to future-proof this thing than not. The 2 USB-C ports, the answer might as well just be a boring one. Like, hey, the new Switch supports USB-C headphones, and now you can plug those in and charge at the same time. But the thing is, like you said, I almost feel like Nintendo can help themselves. Like, they cannot resist the temptation of a gimmick.
Yeah,
they're going to bring back the Game Boy camera, Federico. That's what it's going to be. A little camera that sits on top.
Would love that.
I could honestly see like the Switch 2 becoming like this modular system where Nintendo sells you like a camera, or they sell you like a little extra display that you plug at the top and allows you to emulate DS and 3DS natively. Like Nintendo selling you a bunch of extra accessories on top of the new Joy-Cons. You know, they love that revenue. And
they do.
You can do that. You can do that with all that RAM and the extra USB-C port. I mean, why not?
I saw some rumors that you'd be able to plug your old Switch into the top of the new Switch and use that as your second display if you want to.
That seems a little
It's a little cumbersome.
a little awkward.
Very top heavy. One thing we didn't mention: the screen is much bigger. It's bumped up.
It's like 8 inches, right?
Bumped up to an 8-inch display. Yeah, it's going to be LCD also. It seems like instead of OLED, which does that just mean that they're going to sell us an OLED one in 3 more years? Definitely. But how do you feel about it being so much bigger?
I feel mixed feelings, I would say, because on one hand, I look at the Legion Go, and it's got that big, bright LCD display.
Yeah.
It is possible to make an absolute killer of an LCD display in that size, in the 8-inch size. The Legion Go looks honestly just so much better than anything else that is LCD. And that size really makes the games pop in front of your face. But what is concerning is from the leak, like that size, and if the leak is accurate, with a flat back and the almost flat Joy-Cons, it is concerning because, like, of all the handhelds that I have, the Switch is one of the least comfortable. The only saving aspect of the Switch is that it's so lightweight. And so even though it's completely flat, at the very least, it's not too heavy. So you can manage. And also, like, you can get an alternative Joy-Con, from Hori, from Mobapad, like all of these companies. Exactly. You can do what Brandon is showing. Was that the Hori? The Hori split? Yeah. You can get that, and you can sort of fix the issue. But something I can tell you, something as big as the Legion Go, in terms of display, you gotta have ergonomic controllers, because otherwise, I feel for my hands, it's gonna get crampy quite quickly. So
I think so. And those Joy-Con really didn't look any different than the existing ones, I don't think. I mean, they looked, they're just renders, but I was really hoping that we'd see something more ergonomic with this. So, I mean, I'm still holding out hope. These are just leaks, but I was hoping for something this generation that's a little more comfortable to hold.
I just had a galaxy brain theory. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just going to share it.
Do it.
So, so if they're going to do a magnetic attachment for the Joy-Cons. So a magnet has 2 charges, right? Positive and negative. And the Joy-Cons have the plus sign and the minus sign on the 2 sides of the Switch.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like
okay, it's like and
there is a theory somewhere. There is
where's the punchline, Federico?
It's 2. The number 2, Switch 2, right? Plus and minus.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going.
Plus and minus 2. All right.
I'm just giving you the pieces. Now you can put together bring your own theory, I suppose.
Yes.
These are the elements. Put it together however you want.
Hey, listeners, write in with your theory about what Federico meant when he said all that.
Because I don't know either, honestly.
Even
I don't know.
Federico. I agree about the Joy-Con stuff. I think the biggest thing about the Switch for me is I love, obviously, that it can switch between portable and a television console, but I would say probably 90% of the time, until I got the Hori controllers that I use now, I played that thing docked. I did not use it as a portable console pretty much at all, because I just found it so uncomfortable. So fingers crossed, but regardless, Hori's going to save my life once again. I'm sure they'll release some stuff real soon, and I'll be very happy to get my hands on that.
I would like to point listeners to a video that Brandon did on Wavelengths for the PS5 Pro, and what the PS5 Pro is, why does it exist, does it make sense, does it not make sense. It's a great video. But I want to talk about something else that Sony did almost immediately after announcing the PS5 Pro.
So upset about this.
the three of us, we actually did an episode of Connected last week. Mike and Steven were busy with the Relay St. Jude podcastathon preparation. So we filled in on Connected. And Brandon almost offhandedly joked, hey, wouldn't you imagine a PS5 or a PS5 Pro styled like a PlayStation 1, like the classic PS1? And sure enough, the next day, Sony announced the PlayStation 30th anniversary lineup. It's not just one anniversary console, it's everything. So there's a 30th anniversary edition of the standard PS5. There's an anniversary edition of the PlayStation Portal. There's an anniversary edition of the DualSense and the DualSense Edge. And there's a bundle of the still unreleased, and yet there will be a limited edition of the PS5 Pro with 2 DualSense Edge controllers and a charging dock for those controllers. Everything looks incredible. It's going to be extremely limited in supply. The PS5 Pro, I believe, there's only going to be really like a few thousand units worldwide, I want to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
what
that
the number
thing,
is, but it's
that,
I think it's
that
like 2,000,
bundle,
3,000.
yeah, that bundle is gonna cost what? $1,500, like double the price of a PS5 Pro.
You know why it's going to cost so much, Federico? It's because it comes with a vertical stand.
Right.
That's
Limited
why.
edition.
That's what you're
Limited
paying.
A
edition.
special.
Yeah.
A special stand. Yeah.
Well, so yeah, a vibe check. Anybody gonna buy these things? I mean, they look nice. They look
Yeah, they
super
do.
cool.
I'm not. I'm interested in the Portal because I gave my Portal away and I've been maybe regretting that a little bit. And so,
Interesting.
you know, if they're not going to charge a huge premium for the Portal, I might pick up the Portal, but I don't think I'm going to get any of the PS5 versions or the DualSense Edge either.
Yeah. I mean, I love the way this stuff looks. Even the boxes, they announced what the boxes are going to look like. The boxes look like the original PlayStation 1 box also. Like, just as collector's items, that stuff looks really cool. I kind of feel the same way I do about the PS5 Pro, which is like, I'm perfectly happy with all the stuff that I have right now. The PS5 is working just fine. I have the DualSense Edge already. It looks great. The thing that I do want, though, did you see that USB-C cable?
I saw
they
that.
have?
Yes.
I saw
So,
that.
For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a USB-C cable that just looks very normal on one side, and on the other side, it looks like the plug that you used to plug into the PlayStation 1 for your controller slot,
Right.
but it has a
Yes.
little USB-C attachment. I love that thing. I just want that. I don't think they're selling that separately. I think that's included with, like, if you buy the DualSense Edge.
Right.
I just want that the little cable, though. But I mean, all this stuff looks really pretty. And I'll be completely honest, I don't like the way the PS5 looks. I think, like, design wise, I think aesthetically it's not a very good looking device. I got black faceplates from Dbrand as soon as they released those before they got shut down by Sony on doing that. And that helped a little bit in terms of, like, burying it under my TV in a big way, so it's not as conspicuous. And the PlayStation 5 Pro, I think, with its 3 racing stripes, looks even worse in a big way. This version of both devices, I think, is very pretty. Like, I actually think adding the gray to it really does make it stand out and look more intentionally designed than it did earlier. It does make me wonder, though, will Dbrand or another company just release gray faceplates that kind of look like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
If
Be
they do,
interesting
I
to
will
see.
maybe buy them.
Did you see that one of the pack-ins for one of the bundles is a paperclip that with the PS,
Yes.
the PlayStation logo?
Why
I
not?
thought that was
Why not?
hilarious.
Yeah.
I have a potentially hot take.
What's that?
Design wise, if we're judging like the current generation of consoles, like from a design perspective, and if we have to go with this, what's the coolest looking box basically of all of these consoles? I gotta give it to the Xbox Series S, the small one.
Absolutely.
I think
Yeah.
if we gotta go with one type of box, I'll go with that type of box, you know? And I
Yeah.
kind of miss having
Yeah,
a
it's a
Series
good one.
S. I sold it a couple of
Me
years
too.
ago,
I sold
but it
mine
was
as
like
well.
perfect size, pretty minimal looking, black and white, looks pretty stylish,
Yeah.
and almost the size of a shoebox. Basically, it was pretty cool. I
It
liked
looks
it.
like almost teenage engineering
yes,
esque.
yes.
I have this little Bluetooth speaker from Teenage Engineering that they did a collab with IKEA a couple years ago called
Kinda
Freckvin.
looks like- it kind of
that was-
looks like
yes.
that. Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
just like that little Bluetooth speaker, which I'm obsessed with. It's the best Bluetooth speaker I've ever owned. And it was nice to have a big Xbox that looked just like it. But I upgraded the Series X for Starfield. And I don't regret doing that, but I do regret that the Series S is gone from my life because I loved looking at it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, the X looks like a chimney. I mean, it just sits
It does.
there and pushes heat out the
Just
top.
shoots heat out the
Just
top.
shoots
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We talked about the Retroid 5 and Mini before. The pre-orders opened about a week ago, I think. They also announced that they were going to pre-install Android 13 on both devices with 8 gigs of RAM. And I pre-ordered the 5 because
So did I.
Oh, nice.
So did
Okay.
I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I forgot the color. Did I tell you which color? Because it was like, wasn't it immediately after the Apple event, and my brain was kind of foggy.
Yeah, I would have totally forgotten, except that you had texted me about it, and then I
Did
jumped
I
online
get
and
the
got
purple? I think
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You told me you got the purple.
Okay.
So did I.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I got the purple. Yeah, there you go. And
I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, when are they coming? Sometime in December.
I think December.
Yeah.
I think
All right.
December.
Cool. So, but we gotta wait a little.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
We have some of the first details of what will be most likely next year, the Z2 Extreme. This is the next generation.
Very few details.
Very few details. This is the next generation system on a chip by AMD. It's the same chip that we have had for the past almost couple of years in the ROG Ally, the Ally X, the Legion Go, all of these Windows-based devices
Right.
with the Z1 Extreme inside. There's going to be a Z2 Extreme. Now, we basically know nothing except one detail, and my money is on an official announcement at CES alongside a new generation of handhelds that are going to be based on the Z2 Extreme. The one detail that we'll have, actually two details, is going to be based on RDNA 3.5 graphics. Strix Point, I believe it's called. It's not RDNA
Yes.
4. RDNA 4 is only starting now on desktop. It's going to be, as we knew, it's going to be a while before we see RDNA 4 graphics in handhelds. So RDNA 3.5, and supposedly the big thing about this Z2 Extreme will be that it will be able to sustain high-end performance, not for 45 minutes, as is the case now. If you play something like Black Myth Wukong on an Ally X, that thing at medium to high settings is gonna make your Ally X last about an hour. And it's got a
Right.
chunky battery inside that thing.
Mhm.
Supposedly, the Z2 Extreme will be able to push high-end performance from 45 minutes to 3 hours. So,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
big
That's a big deal.
improvements in
Yeah.
high-end performance and power consumption. It's still going to be based on a 4-nanometer process like the Z1 Extreme. So we'll have to see what, I mean, it must be the improvements in RDNA 3.5. Very exciting. The one other detail that we have, it seems that Lenovo is working on 2 new versions of the Legion Go. A Legion Go 2, which will most likely be based on the Z2 Extreme, but also a Legion Go S or Legion Go Lite that may be a smaller, lighter, cheaper version of the Legion Go. Not clear if that cheaper version will be on the Z1 Extreme or the Z2 Extreme. But yeah, CES is in what? 2 months and a half? No, 3
Something
months.
like that,
3
yeah.
months.
3 months.
3 months. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting January for MPC, I think. And, yeah.
It sounds like
also-
That's
next
gonna be a
year.
road.
Next year is the year that we're going to start to
Yeah.
see these sequel devices, which I think we've
The
all
sequel.
been
I think
waiting for.
Brendan, you and I should go on a road trip in January.
You guys.
I'm there. I've never been to CES. I've always
Neither have
wanted
I.
to go. Let's
Neither
do
have
it.
I.
All right.
Neither have I. All right.
Okay.
Right.
John, what is the HTC Vive Focus Vision, and why does it have so many words?
It has a lot of words. It's their most recent headset that is gaming focused and $1,000. They've opened up pre-orders for this thing, and there's not a ton of details. We'll link to it in the show notes, but it uses USB-C to you can tether to a PC, and it's got like 120-degree field of view and a Snapdragon that is it's an XR2 Snapdragon chip that's powering this thing. So it's it's beefier. I thought we haven't heard anything from HTC in a while.
It's been a while
on this
yeah.
front. Yeah, that's why I thought it was kind of interesting that this was announced, and it was just kind of announced out of the blue in the middle of the week on what was essentially an Apple week with all the new phones and everything. So I thought it was interesting that HTC's just out here saying, "Hey, us too. We've got something going on." So we'll see.
All right. We also wanted to quickly mention this story about TouchArcade
Yeah.
Yeah.
An amazing website that's been around for a long time about mobile gaming and iOS gaming specifically, that is unfortunately shutting down. And it's this very honestly sad story about changes for web publishers, changes that John and we have experienced firsthand, especially in the past year. Changes in the ad market and Google promoting more and more their own AI powered web results at the expense of publishers and people not clicking through websites. Another change that we also experienced at Mac Stories, Apple just closing the affiliate system, the affiliate program that used to give a percentage, a commission to websites like TouchArcade or Mac Stories when people bought an app, or in the case of TouchArcade, a game on the App Store using their link. You would get a nice commission from Apple for bringing revenue and traffic to the App Store. And then a few years ago, Apple closed the program. Fun fact, Brandon, I'm not sure if you know, but our John here used to make an app just to generate affiliate links, and it was a great app. It was called Blink.
That is how I got to know Federico, because he was interested in that app, and that kind of led to me working at Mac Stories, writing on Mac Stories essentially.
I knew about Past as an app developer. I didn't know that was the Past. That's very interesting.
Yeah, that was the thing. And we used that app, and literally there was a Mac version of that app coming out. And the day before I was going to release it, Apple ended the affiliate program for apps. And so I never released the Mac version. But yeah, I think it was 2017, Federico. It was a pretty long time ago now, because it was right at my early days at Mac Stories, when that shut down. And that at one point, that was a significant source of revenue for us, I know, because it did with in-app purchases. They had different rules for different things, and then subscriptions. That stuff started drying up anyway, and then they just killed it. But so we never really relied on it super heavily. So it was certainly a blow, but it wasn't like a critical blow. But I think it was a much bigger blow for something like TouchArcade, because that was an enormous part of their revenue at the time. And I remember talking to Eli, their editor-in-chief. I met up with him at WWDC one year, and I knew then from talking to him that they were struggling, and they moved into doing more with like Google ads and things, which is the problem that has been difficult to solve lately, because those just don't raise the kind of revenue they used to. And then they did a Patreon too, but that wasn't bringing in enough to support their staff. So they're shutting down, but they are staying around in the sense that they're going to continue to do the podcast, I think, using the Patreon as a way to support that.
Oh, that's good.
And they said they may also continue to do once in a while a special story or something for patrons. So there'll be a little bit of writing going on there, but it's sad, because I feel like this is a site that I've linked to many times in the past, because it was mobile focused. It originally started as very iPhone focused. They branched into the Switch and the Steam Deck and a lot of other areas as part, I think, to kind of grow their audience and try to survive. And they did a great job with all those platforms, but unfortunately they just couldn't make a go of it.
Yeah. TouchArcade was a deeply formative website for me over the years. There was nobody better covering that stuff. So I'm happy to hear that they're still going to keep the podcast going, and that their Patreon still rocking.
Same.
That's nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a bunch of mini topics, a bunch of things that we want to talk about. I kind of want to start by making the case for, and this is going to surprise some people coming from me, I kind of want to make the case for the PlayStation Portal again, because Astro Bot made me buy a PlayStation Portal again. If you recall, so here it is. I got my PlayStation Portal again. I got it in a case that I want to talk about shortly. So I got my PlayStation Portal months ago when it came out. Actually, was it November of last year or something?
Yeah, it was right around Christmas time, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I got it. Didn't like it. Sold it immediately, basically for full price. And Astro Bot came out. barely touched my PS5 this year. I played about 15 hours of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and then had to bail because the open world wasn't working for me. Also, I think that the approach that I had initially to that game was the wrong approach, which is why I want to revisit the game. I basically completed all of the sub quests in the first open world era, and that was a mistake because I feel like I should have just followed the main story instead of doing all that junk.
You just got tired of doing side quests?
I just got burned out so much after 15 hours of that stupid Chadley thing popping off every few seconds. So anyway, I barely touched my PS5 this year, and Astro Bot came out, and just like anybody else, I fell in love with Astro Bot. It's an incredible game, and it's the first game since a Nintendo game that within minutes put a smile on my face. Like I actually find myself just laughing at the game and smiling at the game, which usually just only happens with Mario or, you know, a Pikmin or Super Smash, whatever, like a Nintendo game.
Right.
Obviously, I wanted to play Astro Bot as much as possible. So the way that I've set up my I think I mentioned this on the show before, I moved the eGPU to the living room. The King cable, our good old friend King cable, still reaches the bedroom because it's a very long cable.
That's the longest cable ever.
And I don't have a giant apartment, so 10 meters is enough. I put the PS5 in my office under the desk so that it's connected to my gaming monitor. I got the Gigabyte M27U, I believe is the monitor that I have. Great 4K monitor for capital G gamers, I guess, and playing Astro Bot on that thing is amazing. But sometimes I'm lazy and I'm in bed and I got an hour before I go to sleep. I don't want to get up. I don't want to go in the office by myself. I just want to play Astro Bot. So I figured, you know what? Let's try the PS Portal again. And I came up with this theory that I shared with John before, I think. My theory is that the PlayStation Portal wasn't bad per se. There were only bad PS5 games until Astro Bot. So the thing is, this game makes streaming with the PS Portal good. Because what you're getting is all the haptics that you're supposed to get with the DualSense. Right? And Astro Bot obviously is the only game, arguably, on the PS5 that really taps into the power of the haptic feedback of the DualSense. And so you get that performance on a portable display that is so much better than, from a pure tactile perspective, it's better than using something like Chiaki on a Steam Deck or a Legion Go, or using remote play on a phone, right? You're getting the same Astro Bot DualSense feeling while streaming to the PS Portal. Now, am I saying that the PS Portal just for Astro Bot justifies the cost of the machine? In all honesty, no. But I really wanted to play Astro Bot. And so what I'm saying, I guess, is that I'm appreciating the Portal for this specific game. It's very likely that when I play Final Fantasy VII again, and that game doesn't really take advantage of the DualSense, I'll be like, why am I using the Portal? I can just use Chiaki. But for this game specifically, it's perfect. And now I got this Spigen case that sort of wraps around the Portal and makes it slightly more ergonomic here, especially like I get pain in my wrist after playing with the DualSense for like a couple of hours. And so using the Spigen case makes it better. I put the haptics on weak so that I don't bother the dogs and my girlfriend at night sleeping next to me. The haptics of the DualSense, I got them set to maximum power in the office with my DualSense. And that thing is loud. Like when you're living when you're living with your DualSense rocket ship from a planet in Astro Bot, like that engine vibration is loud. So I set it to weak on the Portal, and it's nice. Now, I still think that the Portal is on balance a silly device, but they may just call it the Astro Bot Portal right now, because like it is the only game that sort of justifies, like, what if remote play but also full on DualSense? And I guess there was an alternative timeline in which a lot of PS5 games were gonna be sort of the ideal scenario for that sort of device. Like, yeah, you can stream it and you get all the exclusive features of the DualSense. But so far, it's basically only Astro Bot and maybe Ratchet and Clank, just those two games essentially.
Yeah, I think those are really the two. And I guess the if you want to be really pedantic about it, the original Astro Bot pack-in game for PS5 also. Sure. As more of like a preview of what we were going to get from the PS5. But I totally get where you're coming from. I have found personally that even with Astro Bot, at a certain point, my brain kind of forgets that there are haptics happening. So I played a bunch of Astro Bot through the PS Play app on my Odin 2 Mini. And it's usually when I go directly from playing on PS5 to then getting in bed and playing on the Odin 2 that I'm like, oh yeah, there's something missing here. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I think you're probably right. This feels like one of the first games that's like really making use of everything that the PlayStation 5 can do, and is making a case for that thing. I've gone on record a lot saying that I think this generation is very weird, and I think PlayStation in particular has been kind of weird this generation. Astro Bot to me feels like kind of planting a flag in the ground, as saying like there's more to be done in this generation, and this is kind of the beginning of it.
I hope so.
And I think you're right. I think it makes a case for the Portal better than anything else does, because as I've said, I think on this show, and if not, definitely elsewhere, without a game actually making use of the DualSense, it doesn't make sense to have a screen attached to a DualSense. So shout out to Astro Bot and Team Asobi.
Federico, remind me what size the screen is on that. Is it 7-inch?
7-inch.
It's
doesn't
huge.
have...
And how about...
Yeah.
How's the Wi-Fi? Is there any lag? Because I know it's only Wi-Fi 5, right?
It's only Wi-Fi 5, and it's only better now compared to my experience last year. Not because of the Portal, but because I got a better router in the meantime. So I got more powerful internet compared to last year, and so that's why it's not as terrible as my original experience, but not because of Sony, not thanks to the Portal, thanks to me spending my money for a better Asus gaming router. No, not thanks to them. But yeah, I mean, I like it just for Astro Bot, and who knows, maybe when
it's a lot. I mean, obviously it's a lot to spend for one game, but hopefully if it is the beginning of some new phase in the life of the PS5, then it could be a good investment over time.
Hopefully.
It's certainly between your experience with it and the 30th anniversary Portal raised my eyebrows a little bit, thinking that, because that's a really nice one, that 30th anniversary.
Yeah, I had a dream a couple of nights ago. And I think it's the night after I watched both of Brandon's videos on the Switch and the PS5 Pro back to back. And so I had this dream where Nintendo was going to call it the Super Nintendo Switch, and Sony was going to announce a PS5 Mini. Basically the size, like it was actually smaller than an Xbox Series S. It almost looked like kind of like the size of a Mac Studio, but black and white like a PS5. So that was my dream, a PS5.
That would be nice.
That's my dream too now. Wow.
Yeah. A square, tall, chunky PS5 that is small. Yeah.
Do you remember the Wii Mini, the Nintendo Wii Mini?
Oh my God. Wasn't it red? Didn't make
it was like black with a red outline around it. It looked like those like Seagate Extreme drives that you can get.
Yes.
Just a little bigger. It didn't have a disk drive, right? Or it did have a disk drive?
I don't think so.
There was something weird about it, and I don't know how that worked without a disk drive. Does that make any sense? I'm not really sure. But that thing rocked. That thing was very cool.
The Wii Mini. I don't think...
More mini
does
devices.
Does it have a... I don't think it's got a disk drive. I'm looking at pictures. I don't think it does. I don't know.
How is that possible?
Oh,
could you download Wii games off the eStore? On the Wii Shop?
Oh, you open the top. You open the top and you put the disc in. It doesn't have a slot. You open the front, the top cover.
Right.
Wow.
Nice.
Like an old CD player.
Yeah. Wow, the Wii Mini. Now that is a name. That is a name. Yeah. There should be more mini versions of consoles. Like, again, shout out to the Xbox Series S. That was a good idea. Like
Xbox Series S, I think was a
right.
great idea. I wish that the Keystone existed. I loved that idea, the Xbox Keystone. And the other one I think about all the time is the PlayStation TV. When they took the Vita
man.
and just shrunk it down
Yeah.
into a little thing you could plug into your TV. That was such a good
Boy,
idea.
nobody bought that though.
I
Boy.
went, funny story, I went on eBay like last month. It's very recent, looking for a PlayStation TV. And the price,
Really?
the prices that I saw were like, okay, no, this is not worth it.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, collector's item now, I guess.
I wonder
Wow.
if it's as easy to hack as the regular Vita is.
I mean,
I would think so. The internals are basically
yeah.
the same,
Right?
I think.
yeah, I'm guessing that the same hacks apply to the PlayStation TV as the Vita.
This is a thing I'm gonna have to look into now. It's gonna be my weekend.
John, you have something that I want to talk about, and
I do. I have
From-
two things
from-
to talk about. but-
two things. Well, one is
I
from a
do.
company whose name we haven't spoken so far in this episode, and
we
and
should.
I feel like we
you know,
should. It's about
We owe it to them.
okay. It's all yours. Go for it.
All right. So here we go. I have the Anbernic RG40XXV,
Okay.
which is in the indigo color, which is both the buttons and the case are the same color, and it's got a 4-inch screen, vertical handheld, and I haven't updated the OS yet. I really want to get Mustard OS on this, but they haven't released anything yet. So I'm still rocking the original Anbernic OS, but I love this handheld. This is like almost the perfect size because with the 4-inch screen, it's wide enough that it's a lot easier to hold and a lot more comfortable to hold than your typical vertical handheld. The buttons on this thing are better than your typical Anbernic devices. I mean, there was a good video that Russ at Retro Game Core did about this device, and he kind of declared at the time this was the best D-pad he'd seen on an Anbernic device, and I agree. I mean, this is a really, really nice D-pad. All the buttons are fantastic. The screen's nice and bright. The volume is, the speaker is loud, almost too loud. If you really crank it up, it's very loud. It's got the triggers on the back and kind of the typical configuration. Little bit diagonal there, inset from the side a little bit so they don't snag on things. The joystick's a little high. I think that could. This is before their most recent. Supposedly their most recent device that came out that runs Android. That's a vertical version of this with Android. Has the same Hall effect joysticks that the Odin does, or something that's very, very similar.
Yeah.
This is not that, and it's not ideal, and it sticks up a bit, and it has the RGB lighting that we talked about last time that I've turned off, but it's still, it gets the job done. Most of the games I've been playing so far don't use the joystick anyway, so I love it. I mean, and the color is fantastic too. I really like this blue. It's a really nice blue.
It looks amazing. Yeah. And I think in a world where analog keeps releasing new limited edition versions of the Pocket, I'm much more inclined to buy something like this than I am to buy something like that.
$60 instead of
$60,
$250. Yeah, it's a pretty easy sell.
Yeah. And it has the same
yeah.
chip as all of their recent XX devices, right? Which means
It does.
it would be better for playing things like Dreamcast or N64 if that was a thing you were interested in, which is cool.
Yes. I played a little bit of PSP on here. I played a little Ridge Racer and saw a few hiccups playing Ridge Racer, but not too bad. Not too bad. It was
PSP
pretty solid.
Seems to be the highest end of what that thing is capable of, and it's really hit or miss. Like if you want to play a game like
really
Persona
is.
3 Portable, that's going to run just fine, but something like Ridge Racer, it's a little more intense, or like Gran Turismo Pocket or whatever that game is called. I forget what that one is called, but it's going to be tough. Yeah.
How's the back of the device? How do you like the shoulder buttons, John?
That was going to be my question.
They're good because they're I mean, it's not really that much different from any of the other vertical handhelds that Anbernic does. They're angled, and they're inset from the side a little bit, so they're not gonna, you're not gonna hit them by mistake. I don't think, because they're in from the sides just a teeny bit, a couple, 2-3 millimeters maybe, and they feel good. They're clicky. They're a little clicky, not too loud, but yeah,
So
solid stuff.
D-pad is really that good.
It really is good. It's definitely better than some of the earlier devices that I've tried from Anbernic.
How much is this again?
Yeah. I think I paid $60 for
That's
it, but that was,
pretty
it was,
good.
I got it during the initial, there was like Anbernic always does this thing where they release a new device, and for the first 2 weeks or so, it's maybe $10 or $15 off. And I bought it direct from them, and I think I got it for around 60, 65. It might be more like 70 now.
Nice. Okay. What's the second thing?
I got
you
one.
have?
I got one more thing, Federico. You really need, this is something that is especially just for you. I have the Mobapad.
Oh my
the
God.
Mobapad
You know why I'm
Switch
laughing?
controller.
You know why I'm laughing? Because I also got
Why?
it yesterday.
I had this moment where I was like, I should buy one of these for Federico and surprise him. And I thought, what are you doing?
Oh
Kidding
my
yourself? He's already
God.
bought this for himself, probably.
I
All right, so we
literally
should talk
got
about it.
yesterday.
Yeah,
I
we
haven't.
should talk
I haven't
about
used
this.
it yet. Have you used it?
Okay. Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, mine only came like, a week ago, but
We probably were on the same plane, and then yours went off to America, and mine stayed in Europe.
probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because here's the thing. You and I were talking not too long ago about how the fall is going to be the fall of the Switch.
Switch fall. Yeah.
And Switch fall. And I kind of got to the point where I thought, yeah, you know what? I really want to have the best possible experience here with the Switch. And this definitely is the best split controller that I've tried with the Switch. Now, the Hori what is the one called that you've got?
The Hori
Brendan?
Split Pad Compact.
The split pad compact. All right. So that one I like too. I have tried some of Hori's before. What's really nice about this, first of all, these joysticks are fantastic. There's also, kind of this, you've got for your D-pad, you've got
like
the little
Xbox
circular
style.
Yeah, the
D-pad,
Xbox
yes.
style one. Now you can switch that out for a regular D-pad. It comes
good.
with another D-pad in the box that you can put. And they've also these are face plates on this that are magnetic. So you can take these out. And I just lost my D-pad on the floor.
Nice.
But
Nice. Nice.
now you
Good
can see the
ASMR.
internals of the D-pad. Yeah, but you can take these off, and then you can get, like, for your joysticks, like the octagonal surrounds if you want to have that instead of the smooth circle. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of like style of controller that you like. It's the back of this thing, nicely textured, really good ergonomics. There are some paddles on the back. They don't get in the way. They're not super huge, and I don't know. I just kind of love it. I mean, it's very, very comfortable compared to the normal
regular.
Joy-Con, and it has all the features because it works with Amiibo. It's got all the features that are built into Joy-Con too. So you don't have,
And they work wirelessly.
you're not really giving anything. What's that?
And it seems like they work wirelessly as well.
Yeah,
think
so
so.
you're not really giving up anything by using this particular third party solution. So it's really nice.
I haven't
am
played.
interested.
Yeah, I haven't played with mine. The only thing that I took it out of the box,
Yeah.
clicked a few buttons. The one thing I didn't like was, what's the name of those type of buttons that are very clicky? Like they have a name. Like try and click the buttons. See that? Like it's not like when you.
They're mechanical instead of being.
Yeah. See,
Mine are really quiet, Federico.
no, but they make
I
that
don't know.
click, and it's
Yeah.
not
They
like
do make a click.
it's not like when you click a dual sense, right? The dual sense, in my opinion, is like the standard for like a silent button like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Come
like a
on there,
dual.
what's-
It's not like a dual sense. They make that click, 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 which is very
Yeah.
different from.
Yeah, they do that. But yeah, I've been happy with it so far. I don't know. It's on their website. It's $80 now. They've actually got it on discount. They probably smell the Switch 2 in the wind and are no longer selling it for $96. It's $79.99 now.
All right.
I
Well-
think I might end up picking these up. They look very comfortable.
Yeah, it's by far the most comfortable controller I've ever held for a Switch.
I think
You
I'm
can also
gonna
get a
give it
bundle
try.
where there's a bag that comes with it as well. So you can
Huh.
Yep.
like a travel case, because that's the bigger thing
Nice.
for me, because I'm traveling a lot more recently. I have a case for the Switch with the Hori split pad specifically built.
Oh,
for that.
nice.
So Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they've got their
interesting.
case on sale too. The case is $26 instead of $42.
Yeah, you can get a bundle of both for $95. So I might do that.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna try and play Echoes of Wisdom with the Mobapad. See if
Nice.
they're not too clicky and if I can play at night. But the next time we record an episode, we will have played Echoes of Wisdom. So that's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is
excited.
exciting.
I'm so excited. Wait, can
And
I
maybe
infect
we'll- 6
both of
days
you
away.
with another game real quick? Just
Okay.
What's that?
before we sign off or move on or whatever. There's a game that you should both be playing called UFO 50. Have either of you heard of it yet?
Isn't it the game by Derek Hugh?
Yes.
And a
It's by
bunch of
Derek Hugh.
other
Yes.
designers?
Published
Yeah.
by Mossmouth, so that's the developer of Spelunky and Spelunky 2,
Yeah.
but also
Oh, okay.
the developer of Downwell. There's like a very famous board game designer in
Oh,
there.
wow.
And the conceit
wow.
is that it's a bunch of incredible indie developers who got together, and in the fiction of UFO 50, they quote unquote discovered 50 games by a company from the 80s called UFO Soft that just like made 50 games in the 80s and then disappeared for a system that's kind of like the NES called the LX.
Okay.
But in reality, it is a collection of 50 complete games, not like WarioWare micro games
Oh,
or
it's
anything.
not like that? They're
No,
complete games?
It's 50 full games,
Wow.
every
Wow.
genre you can imagine. There's like roguelikes, there's puzzle platformers, there's regular puzzle games, there's RP, like full, like 30, maybe
my
not 30,
God.
but like 5 to 10 to maybe 15-hour RPGs in there. It is a remarkably ambitious game, and on top of that there's like a meta narrative about the life of the developers at UFO Soft running through
Oh my
all of
God.
them.
So there's even
oh,
like
wow.
a meta story inside.
Yes.
Oh my, that's
Yes.
incredible.
So for each game, there's like a little text blurb that just like tells you a little bit about the development. So like the very first game is this one called Barbuda. It's very difficult. It's very kind of arcane and difficult to play. But the little blurb is like, yeah, this guy built this on his off hours at work when he was supposed to be doing something else. And this was like years before UFO Soft was
Wow.
even established. And you can feel the lineage of the games as you continue moving your way through them. You can feel how
that's
ideas
cool.
build on one another. It's brilliant.
Wow.
It's only
So,
out on PC. This is why I'm telling you about it. It's only out on PC.
Okay.
Works great on the Steam Deck. I've been streaming it through Moonlight a lot to the Odin 2 Mini, which is like the dream. It's great. It's coming to consoles eventually, apparently, but for now, I think both of you would lose your minds over this.
I saw
that
this
sounds
and I
great.
thought it was a WarioWare type thing.
I did too. I saw the same. I saw a headline about it and thought it was like mini games.
Yeah,
basically.
minigame. So do you unlock all of the games initially or like
Yeah,
progressively?
you have all of them at the start,
Oh,
and
wow.
and they show up as little cartridges, and you have to like literally dust them off to play them.
Oh, okay.
I have
Okay.
played. I'll say this: I have played all 50 games at this point. I haven't.
Wow.
I've only technically completed. Each of them have different like versions of what completing them is. I've completed
Right.
one of them so far, but I've played probably like 10 to 15 hours of this thing so far, and it is a shoe-in for like, if not game of the year, top 3 at least for
All
me.
right.
And I think
UFO
the two of
50.
you in particular, knowing your tastes and
Yeah.
knowing how much you love using your portable PCs, it's a great game for that thing.
All right. Well,
Perfect.
saving a reminder, UFO 50 for tonight.
We've got a little productivity going on here with Federico and his reminders.
All right. Well, I think that about does it for this week's show. John, take us home.
All right. That's it for this episode of NPC Next Portable Console. You can find Brendan Bigley over at wavelengths.online. Be sure to check out the website as well as his YouTube channel, which he's been doing a lot on recently. You can find him on social media as Brendan Bigley too. And you can find me and Federico over at macstories.net, where we write and do a bunch of other podcasts too. Federico is on social media as Viticci, VITICCI, and I'm John Voorhees everywhere. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.